when we're playing these games. For the 13-year-old right now playing Street Fighter online, he's been on playing it for 13 hours. He wants to be good. He wants to be great. This might get him out of mama's basement, grandmama's basement, and be able to buy his peoples a house, a crib, a car. Should we be mad because business is business? Right? Excuse the flames in the back, because I gotta make a point with this. I gotta make a point. In order for things to prosper the way that you want it to prosper, the old way has to be burnt or sent to ash, and remember that this is where we used to be, and now we're doing this new thing. We gotta get rid of the old way in order to bring in this new way. You want to make money? There's got to be avenues to making money. You understand? There's got to be avenues to making money. So, boxing, you choose boxing as your career. Guess what? There is an avenue for you to make millions. You can become Tank Davis. You could become Mike Tyson. You could become Floyd Mayweather if you work hard enough, and you can make millions of dollars. But in order for that cash flow to get in from different ways, the TV deals and the company that is broadcasting that fight, they gotta have sponsorships. They gotta have ads. You gotta put the little patches on the boxers, trousers. And also, the people that comes in to show up, they gotta pay a price per ticket. Isn't that capitalism? Now you say, "Hey, why are you starting off on this rant? What got you ranting today?" I'm very passionate. I'm a very passionate about gaming and fighting games, right? You probably would have known that based on the content that I put out, but I also have live streams where I'm playing Street Fighter and all that. But there are people that want to play video games and make millions of dollars, right? So, welcome to another episode of Think Pieces and Conversations. By the way, let's just start there, okay? But let me get back to what I was saying. There is this special event called a Capcom Cup. If you know anything about Capcom, they're known for Street Fighter. They're known for Marvel vs. Capcom. They're known for different legacy fighting games, different legacy video games in general, a Mega Man, or things like that. But there has been an uptick, an upsurge of notoriety with its current flagship fighting games such as Street Fighter 6. They are charging money for Capcom Cup. Capcom Cup is an event where people compete for $1 million prize. And people are upset about this. But people don't think, this is an avenue. This is a precedent being set for the average kid that just loves to play video games, loves to be, to practice his combos, to be good at a fighting game. He could eventually become a multi millionaire because of his passion. Do you want to be rich in your passion? People got to pay a price. Now, people might not agree with me, okay? I'm not really a part of the FGC Twitter and the FGC stands for fighting game community. I'm not necessarily one of the big influencers one of the big, you know, tastemakers of the FGC, but I am definitely indeed a part of the FGC because I've been playing fighting games for a very long time. So, we're gonna listen to one of the big influencers of this space. We're gonna listen to a little bit of what he got to say about this. All right. Now, let me give you a little bit of backstory before I get into it. This is the thing with
4,000 yen at the time. That's about 20.
This is the thing with what fighting games previously was before this Capcom Cup. I want you to keep that in mind. The Capcom Cup is like a big tournament to win $1 million prize for Street Fighter 6 and other fighting games or whatever. Previously, before this new revelation occurred, you must understand all of this was for free. Everybody was watching the streams for free. They were just going on Twitch and participating and watching for a very, very long time. Yeah, you got Evo and things like that to walk in, and you got to pay money to get into these events, an entry fee. But little do you guys know, because there's going to be a lot of people listening to this that don't know exactly what I'm talking about, but y'all will know what business is. Some of y'all will, deficit, net, profit, revenue, expense. These things matter when it comes to building something to make it big so that other people can eventually become millionaires or leave their regular job to play a video game. People left their regular jobs to box. People left their regular jobs to play basketball. It's just a natural occurrence. Well, let's listen to a few things that Maximilian dude, he is an influencer in the FGC, and what he thinks about this.
25 to $30. That is the same Capcom Cup that I rebroadcast, let's just say back in 2020, I think it was 2022. On Twitch alone, this was before I was doing YouTube streaming. That Capcom Cup, we had 67,000 viewers of people that were anticipating the future of Street Fighter and also kind of celebrating the end of Street Fighter 5. Pretty big thing. Subsequently, all of the other Capcom Cups that we sort of streamed and rebroadcast all have pretty big viewership. Obviously, it's like the end of the year. We're anticipating announcements. We're anticipating a variety of things. People would want to get together. People want to like join, get in the conversation. They haven't been keeping up with Street Fighter 6. They want to see what Street Fighter 6 is like now, like all that kind of stuff. That's what these events are sort of for. Same thing going back to Street Fighter 5 as well as Street Fighter 4. So this year, the decision is that that doesn't really exist anymore. So from my perspective, this actually is a big disruptor to my entire yearly tournament streaming sort of like schedule, event planning, all that kind of stuff. Because yes, up there with Evo and a few other events that are throughout the year, I don't stream a billion tournaments, but I kind of focus on the big ones that get everybody together in one spot and we sort of celebrate and, have a bunch of people watching at the same time. I just don't think that's possible now. I don't know if rebroadcasting will be a thing. It likely won't, because what happens currently at the Street Fighter League, that is not generally allowed. There's always been like weird things where you can only stream like the timer. Like, what is this, dude? The timer? And you can.
With these events that be streamed, these major tournament fighting game events, Maximilian is one of the premier influencers for the FGC. I did tune in, and I was tuning in, and whether it's recently, before, there'll be a big tournament, he'll stream it. He'll have 50,000, 20,000, 60,000 people watching through his stream. This is the thing with capitalism, and this is the thing with Japan mainly. I want you to keep Japan in your head. Capcom Street Fighter 6, the latest Street Fighter game, is doing major numbers in Japan, right? Big numbers. I'm talking Fortnite level numbers in Japan. If you know anything about Fortnite gets hundreds. There's streamers that get hundreds of thousands of views for streaming on Fortnite. I don't know if it's happening now, but there was a large part of these recent years, especially during the pandemic, where Fortnite was the biggest thing smoking. Everybody talked about it. It's still the biggest thing smoking. It's so big that it's in its own world. And when you tune into that world, you're gonna see how big it is. Hundreds of thousands of views per streamer, depending on who you talking to, depending on who you watching. So in Japan, there is a big uptick in popularity with tournament players. They are getting 10,000 people watching live stream. They are getting 50, 60, 100, 500,000, even 1,000,000 views per video. Per video. Right? So Japan is noticing that. The people in Japan got Street Fighter in a whole nother level than what it's been before. The influencers that have been playing for Street Fighter for 20 years, 15 years, 30 years, they're getting their recognition and just due. They're getting a lot of views on their YouTube. They're getting AdSense. They're getting money now. They don't need the sponsorship as much, but they are getting the sponsorship as an extra cash flow coming in. So Japan is taking advantage of the capitalism. With Capcom Cup, in order for me to view it, in order for you to view it, if you're a fighting game fan, you have to pay-per-view. Now you say 8. What do you mean by that? Have you seen the latest Floyd Mayweather anything, or have you seen the latest Jake Paul pay-per-view? SummerSlam, in the WWE, WrestleMania, pay-per-view. You gotta pay $50 in order for you to watch it. Right? This is unprecedented for a fighting game to step in this lane. But I want you to preface this. There are average people or people that are exceptionally good at a fighting game that now have their dream can be fulfilled to be a multi-millionaire playing a fighting game because of the multiple streams of revenue coming from this place, that place, this place. You got pay-per-view, you got ads, you got esports merch, you got. Let me give you a little backstory on before I finish with Maximilian. Okay, let me give you a little backstory on what's going on. This was on X. Esports is a division that pro players they step into to compete and get a prize for placing high or winning in a gaming event. It could be fighting games, it could be shooting games, such as a Counter-Strike, such as a Valorant. I'm gonna read this tweet from High Fight. This is probably the reason why I see most people from this is probably the reason I see the most people from who understand why Capcom is doing a pay-per-view. The esports division loses 1 billion yen, which is equivalent to 6 to 7 million USD every year based on Capcom investment report. If you know anything about business, right, and you're a multi-million-dollar corporation, the places that put you in the red, you're gonna want to fix that. What a better way, what a beautiful way to fix that than to charge the people that really want to watch this event few dollars, $20, $40, $60. You want to see this, right? You want to see who wins, right? It's capitalism, the American way, and the Japanese way, from what you see. So let's get back to it. So they have to do something to offset those losses. What is he saying? Is it weird that esports has to make money on its own though? It should be PR to get more people to buy and play their games. But when do they put it? When they put it like this in the company report, the esports division probably receives so much pressure to gain more profits. Absolutely. Absolutely. Unfortunately, people don't realize the SFL Japan finals have been pay-per-view for years. I did not notice. Since the Street Fighter V era, and they have been successful. This will be super successful in Japan. SF6 in Japan is on a whole nother level, and unfortunately the rest of the world might suffer for it. This is Capcom Vider's Twitter announcing that these tickets are going to be for sale. The countdown begins. Tickets for Capcom Cup drop soon on October 10th. Starting this season, Capcom Cup 12 Finals March 14th. World Championship March 15th will stream live via pay-per-view. Free replays drop March 21st and March 22nd. You want to make fight money? There's got to be money to fight. It is what it is. So if you don't know how yen reads, basically for the pay-per-view tickets, we're gonna go all the way to the bottom. To see the finals and to see the SFL WC bundle, which I don't know what that really goes up to, but you get to watch the whole thing. It's going to be $60 to watch it. From that last tweet that I read, this guy says, yo, it's been successful and it's going to be successful. They got to extend the reach to the world now, because that's going to give them more opportunity to increase the cash flow. Do you want to be a millionaire playing fighting games? Do you want to be a millionaire doing anything? So there's a lot of live streamers and people such as Maximilian dude, which I have major respect for because I've been watching him for years. They don't like this. Part of it is because it's capitalism on their end. They're streamers. They stream these big events and they get 50, 60,000 watchers. You don't think that that equates to revenue? Absolutely, it equates to revenue. So of course, they're gonna see this and be like, yo, this is wrong. They're gonna tell you that because you're not that smart.
Listen to the pay-per-view like it was a baseball radio show. Some really crazy stipulations. So let's just boil it down. Why is this happening? Who's it affecting? What the hell's going forward? Number one, why? Why is specifically a Street Fighter Esports situation? Street Fighter Esports, especially in Japan, have already developed a model of like pay-per-view, where it's working, and it's been that way for a while now. I don't think it's been that way for too long, but it's been that way for a while now, where Street Fighter 6 Esports in Japan, which is pretty much a completely different beast, is doing quite well. However, considering the history of most tournaments, they are not pay-per-view. There's definitely going to be some examples of the situation going obviously in an 895 direction back with Canada Cup back in the day. But you have to start asking questions. Yeah, sponsors and money. Here's the weird part about this. This is like a Capcom Esports division, which is a completely different division than Capcom themselves. A reminder, this company's big. This is nothing to do with the Street Fighter development team. Absolutely nothing to do with them. Although they're probably going to be getting an earful of all this stuff after this weekend is over. And I'm curious if anything is going to change moving forward. But you have to start asking yourself questions. questions where it's like, all right, so these guys will get on average, like with restreams, rebroadcast, their own viewership, Twitch, YouTube, all that kind of stuff. These guys will get a few 100,000 people, well, at least 100,000 to 200,000 people watching one of these events, which is pretty big for the sake of spot.
Guess what, Max? I agree, Max. But this is the thing, that 100,000 views, even if it's 10% of those people watching, if 10% of those people pay $60 to watch the pay-per-view, 10% of 100,000 is what? Let me pull out my calculator. So 10% of 100,000 is 10,000. So 60 times let's do this. Where my calculator at? 60. We're gonna do this right now. That's 60,000, ain't it? 60 times 10,000. No, it ain't 60,000. $600,000. $600,000. 600,000 could do a lot. It can do a lot for a lot of things. It might pay for the next DLC character. It might pay for the next event. It might pay for the next prize pool. It might pay for the next concession stand at an event to where people aren't starving. Like, there is a lot of ways that money can be used. Y'all must understand. I know things have been free for decades, for years for you, right? But when companies see an opportunity to get more money in order to fill in the gaps and clean up the red that's in their finance report, they're going to do that, and you gotta respect it. Let me ask you a question. How you gonna make fight money when there ain't no money to fight? How? You gotta respect it. But guess what? For you, for me, for the guy, the 17-year-old playing Street Fighter right now, that's not worried about podcasting, that's not worried about politics or whatever I be talking about. He has, I have, they have, we all have the opportunity to become a part of this new cash flow revenue coming in. If Terrence Crawford and Canelo could do it, Floyd Mayweather and whatever else could do it, these gaming companies, you want the game to be better? Do you want the game to be better? I'm asking the question. Because if you don't, that's cool. That's fine too. But all I'm saying is this. Bro. If you don't want the game to be better, then you're going to have to be okay with everything that happens from here on out. Maybe there is no more esports in the future. Maybe there is no avenue to make thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, and millions of dollars. And you still going to be one of the greatest players in whatever fighting game this is. But guess what? You're going to still be in your 9 to 5 as the greatest fighting game player to ever live. I applaud what Capcom is doing. They're being smart about this. Okay? You have to clean up, make everything profitable, or most things profitable in your company, so you could designate certain funds to certain things that the people may want, the developers may want. They have more motivation to keep creating these games. They're going to get an incentive for this. You're going to get an incentive for this. You might not see it now because you're just worried about these $40, $60. But might as well blow open the lid now instead of waiting later. Street Fighter 6 is becoming extremely big. Okay? It's becoming huge. All right? You gotta respect it. You either choose to respect it or choose to be mad. Pick one.
Sponsors, which has mostly been the thing in the past that has sort of like carried it. So sponsors and that kind of stuff is sort of what paid for this stuff. Most of the stuff, like the revenue that comes from Street Fighter, that's usually a lot different. What really sucks about this is that so they're effectively just ditching the traditional model. We're just gonna charge everybody, and I'm assuming that there's gonna be like no ads. I'm assuming Roto Z-Man wasn't enough. I'm assuming that that kind of stuff just wasn't paying the bills. But the craziest part is that they're effectively dropping like the rest of the world. To me, this honestly makes perfect sense for Japan. I'm gonna give you a couple of examples of this before, but Street Fighter is a completely different beast in Japan. What's happening in Japan right now for Street Fighter and what has been happening over the past couple of years of the game's existence is nothing like the rest of the world. In fact, you would think that the game is doing relatively fine, and it is, but this shit is popping off in Japan. And again, the bigger something gets, the more control people want over it. Let me give you a couple of examples. I saw Brian F talking about this, and I also noticed this when I was looking at a YouTube channel. It was Kawano. Kawano had recent footage of C. Viper from Tokyo Game Show, so it was like, cool. To give a shout out to Kawano's YouTube channel, it's right here, Kawano. You might not be able to find it because it wouldn't show up under natural search means. You'd have to like literally search his name directly. If we click on this, we can get a whole different side of YouTube that we don't normally see. You get Japan YouTube, a whole bunch of videos and things that normally will never hit our recommended feeds.
Okay, so as he's searching through his YouTube, right? I want to make this quality a little better. As he's searching through his YouTube, 4 days ago, 6 days ago, 13 days ago, these type of numbers, he's getting 230,000 views. Kawano, this is a popular Street Fighter player, fighting game player. He is getting Fortnite numbers playing Street Fighter. So the streamer, the gamer, the pro player, they making money off of this. He has 178,000 subscribers off this. Right? 178. Money. This is unprecedented, or it hasn't been seen for a very long time, since Street Fighter 4. But Street Fighter 4, the companies was very unaware and not really prepared for how big that game was gonna be. So this type of capitalism hasn't been taken advantage of. Okay? But in Street Fighter 6, that resurgence has come back. But instead of it being in America like Street Fighter 4 was, I'm trying to give you guys a little bit of lore if you don't know about Street Fighter. This thing, Pieces and Conversations, is about money, fight money. I might name this thing Fight Money. It's about, in order to make money, you got to get money from somewhere else. It got to be coming from somewhere. It can't. Where's the bread going to come from? So Kawano, this Japanese, I think he's a Japanese guy. I think he's Japanese. I don't know, Korean. Look at his YouTube. If you can see this, he's making hundreds of thousands of views per video. Well, let's finish what Maximilian is talking.
This stuff we will just not see. But I want you to look at something. Anybody see anything fascinating about the last month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months of Kawano's videos? 1.1 million videos for like a stream VOD. From somebody like asking a question, dude. Holy mother of God. Street Fighter is on a different level in Japan right now. This thing is making careers the way that the last time we saw a big game do this, we saw this happen with Dragon Ball FighterZ made careers, right? People were getting this equivalent level of viewership when Dragon Ball FighterZ dropped. Let's go to like Tokido. And just as a reference, both of these guys, check this out. Both these guys have a similar subscriber amount, but dude, like they're popping off. Their viewership is good. Like, all things considered, hundreds of thousands of views on some videos, high 80s. This is very good. So right now, what's happening in the content creation side of Japan Street Fighter content creators, it is blowing up. And this not just between Tokido and Kawano. There's a huge myriad of people that are getting massive careers made where they're making legit money now actually being content creators. You know what I mean? Why is that important? Because to the majority of us, we're just completely unaware why this stuff is working the way it is. And it was pretty obvious that over the past, I think it's been 2 years, Capcom Cup has left the States for it being the event that it is in a post Street Fighter 6 situation. It's been in Japan for a little while now. What this comes across as, to me, is almost a full commitment to the Japanese Street Fighter esports scene. And to me, it makes sense. It's kind of like, I'm curious what the heck's going on with the American version, the American side of the Capcom esports division. I wonder what they're going through right now. But it almost feels like a full commitment to not being this global brand anymore, and specifically being a thing that is for this audience, because the amount of viewership and the amount of people watching in Japan specifically is likely so big that they can't ignore that anymore. And we're just going to do it this way. And the Japanese audience is likely going to be completely happy with this because they have been doing that with like SFL. They've been doing that kind of stuff, you know? To me, this sounds like a literal business decision where the sponsorships that would come from other regions and all that kind of stuff. It's not.
And that's all it is. It's only business. It's only business. Now, I think you guys got the point of this whole entire video. Shout out to the FGC community. I am a part of it. I'm just not a big influence in it. I play fighting games, been playing fighting games. And my podcast ain't really about, it's not about gaming. But business is a business. This is the whole point of this whole conversation. When business becomes business, when things become bigger, the companies want to take advantage and they want to increase the cash flow depending on how big something is. If something clearly draws more revenue, you shouldn't fault the company for taking advantage, which it could be, and most likely, especially since it's Japanese, is going to be for your benefit, my benefit, when we're playing these games. For the 13-year-old right now playing Street Fighter online, he's been on playing it for 13 hours. He wants to be good. He wants to be great. This might get him out of mama's basement, grandmama's basement, and be able to buy his peoples a house, a crib, a car. Should we be mad because business is business? I'm not. I'm absolutely not. So, couple points I want to make before I leave. The streamers, the content creators that stream these big events, I've said this before earlier in the video, this is going to affect their revenue because they can't just pull up a stream and say, yo, let's everybody watch Capcom Cup. Have 60,000 views, a bunch of subscribers, a bunch of donations. That's dead now. It's over. There's no more of that. That's one aspect. But in the long term, in the short term even, these streamers can get partnerships with these companies. They can, this still opens a door for more revenue on their part if they're open to this new way of doing things. These companies can get creative. These streamers can get creative. They can develop contracts. They can develop some type of business opportunity that allow them to stream these events. But of course, the back end has to make sense for the actual company, the developers that made the game, sponsor the game, distribute the game, televise the game, televise the competition. Business is business. Okay? You can't expect something to keep being for free and then you want to do this thing that's been for free and then you want to make money from it. It doesn't make sense. All right. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Check out my podcast on every podcast platform. Check out my Instagram. Check out my TikTok. We got new content, fresh content. Check out my ex. Let's have a conversation. I'm out of here.